Biden is the most Atlanticist president since at least George H.W. Bush. Tony Blinken is the most Atlanticist Secretary of State.
Explain for our audience, since that's a super wonky term, when you say Atlanticist, concretely, what does that mean for you?
So it means that in the core of your thinking about the way America engages, looking across the Atlantic and looking towards partnerships with Europeans is kind of your first natural instinct. A problem arises, and who do you call? Are you going to call your friends in Latin America or in Africa or in the Middle East or even in Asia, or are you going to call your friends in Europe? And the Atlanticist instinct, this instinct to think about how the United States and Europe together, the we, in some ways, is now in the Oval Office and back on the 7th floor in Foggy Bottom.
Certainly agree with you on Secretary of State Blinken. Let me push back at least a little bit when we talk about Biden. I mean, first invitation to the White House, Japanese Prime Minister Suga. Second invitation, South Korean President Moon. I mean, the Quad, something they're trying to stand up. China seen as the top priority, not Russia. I mean, how much do you really want to lean into that?
So it is where I think Biden and Blinken, by the way, and Sullivan and everyone else, the team is understanding that it's no longer enough to be Atlanticist. You can't do your entire foreign policy engagement only with Europe. What you really need is you need a North American, Asian, European, advanced democratic alignment. So you want to bring in your Asian allies, you want to bring in your European allies, and of course the Canadians and the United States in order to solve these issues. You kind of want to enlarge the G7, right? It was the right thing to do for Biden is to reach out to our Asian partners, to bring Suga and Moon to the White House, as you said, for Austin, the Secretary of Defense, and the Secretary of State Blinken to make their first trip to Japan and Korea, and to have this meeting of the Quad, India, Australia, Japan, and the United States, at the first level, at a leader level, to have that kind of cooperation. But it's not an alternative to Europe. This president is not pivoting away from Europe. It's trying to align both our European partnerships and our Asian partnerships to deal with the challenges we face: China, cyber, climate, COVID, to take 4 C's as the key thing.
How do you think you avoid ending up in a Cold War with the Chinese, given this level of momentum that is being driven by Biden, but frankly, in a bipartisan way in the United States?
Yeah, and I think it's a real challenge because the United States doesn't do foreign policy subtly. We're not particularly good at that, even though I think Biden's understanding and Blinken's understanding of the challenge that China poses is not in Cold War terms. It's not an either or in many ways. There is a severe need to compete, but you compete by doing more ourselves, by working together on the strengths that we have, which are partners and allies around the world. We've got 55 allies to the United States, and China has 1, North Korea. Good luck trying to compete effectively if we can bring those 55 allies along in the competition. But it's not about confrontation. It's not about conflict. It's not a zero-sum game. You need to find ways to cooperate with the Chinese. You heard Prime Minister Boris Johnson, who's made a strong stance against China, say in Brussels this week, no one around this table wants a Cold War. I think that's true for Joe Biden as well.